We're going to turn to a conversation about how AI and global collaboration are reshaping the finance industry to be more inclusive and resilient. From expanding access to credit to rethinking regulation, we want to know more about building fintech systems that serve people, not just profits. Please welcome Global Finance and Technology Network co-founder and group CEO, Swapnendu Mohanty, and Fortune's Clay Chandler.
Thanks, Andrew. Sup, please. It's a real privilege to have Swapnendu here with us this afternoon. This is a man with a rare career and a remarkable set of insights into how the world is organizing. You know, when we talk about AI and technology, we often are talking about developed economies. We're talking about Silicon Valley. We're talking about what's going on in China. But there's a whole big world out there, and a lot of people that don't have access to this technology. And I want to talk a little bit to Swapnendu about that. But first, I wonder if we could just have you explain a little bit about the Global Fintech Network. This is, for those of you who don't know, Swapnendu spent many years in the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and then was in charge of fintech for the central bank at Singapore, and then very entrepreneurial, helped the central bank develop this entity called Elevandi, which launched the Singapore Fintech Festival. This is, I would say, probably the most successful fintech festival in the world. It's been going on, how many years now?
It's the 10th anniversary.
10th annual, so 60,000 people descend on Singapore from all over the world for this festival and discuss every aspect. We went last year and we're thrilled to be a part of that. But it's amazing. It's blockchain. It's talking about different forms of finance. But it's also made a real effort to look into the developing world, the global South, and how fintech can help people that are unbanked gain greater access to financial markets. So I hope we can talk a little bit about that. But talk to us about the Global Fintech Network and what it's evolved to be, because it has 4 different functions, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of an extension of my last 10 years in MAS.
Yeah.
Because we are, if you take the last 10 years in Singapore, we built a fintech hub, which kind of expanded beyond the Singapore mandate. And we went to the global ecosystem. We influenced a lot of the choices financial sector are making. So we decided that to really super scale that idea, MAS created this GFTN. And the core idea behind this is to create this global network of things what we are doing here, primary information, talking to each other at a scale, so that we can capture around the world conversation around the innovation in financial services, not in isolation, but in partnership with the regulators, investors, founders, fintech, CEOs, and all. And to do at a scale is the first mandate we thought do as part of GFTN, which is an Elevandi extension. Then we added, okay, now we have done this, let's add the advisory piece.
Right.
How do we advise low income, middle income, emerging market on a strategic policy for innovation in financial services, almost replicating the Singapore success in many emerging market. Then we bring the platforms, the public good platforms to this market, create a more connected, equitable system around the world. And then we thought, okay, now we've done the first 3 pieces, let's put some venture money to boost innovation to upcoming startups. This is a comprehensive ecosystem building framework.
So this is really a unique entity, that it's part think tank, part advisor.
Part investor.
Part investor. And it has this tremendous global reach. Now, the Fintech Festival here, extremely successful, but you've extended it. You now have a version in Japan.
Yes.
And you've also brought a version to Kigali.
Yes.
Is that right? Tell us about that and why you've done that.
Well, we wanted to take the narrative to the emerging market, because it's good to have a program in Singapore or in Hong Kong or in Tokyo, But how do we take this program at this scale to emerging market, to Africa, to Latin America,
Right.
to deep in ASEAN?
Right.
Our desire is to take this conversation to every hotspot in the world, because we know the future of financial services are not going to be created out of developed market.
Right.
It will come from emerging market.
Right.
It is going to come from low-income countries. They're going to redefine the future of finance with better innovation, better technology. We got to go there and have this conversation. That's drove that whole network build-up.
So tell us, where do you see some of the greatest opportunities for bringing AI and fintech to empower the developing world? I mean,
Sure.
is it in India? Is it in Africa?
Well,
where are the kind of urgent opportunities?
Well, I'm going to be a little more provocative here.
Okay.
Today, if you take every history of technology, we have seen different tech stack coming and solving a certain piece of financial services. Now, financial sector historically is the biggest paymaster for technology. Even today, look at the AI revenue breakdown. Almost 40% or 50% goes to financial sector. But when we see our design, we are archaic. We are not the best tech stack in the world.
Right.
So we pay the bill, but we get the bad technology. So where is the issue? The core to the issue of AI or any technology solving financial sector challenges is there's an elephant in the room, which is the credit market. Now, if you say somebody, I'm a bank, one expectation is they lend you money.
Yeah.
Now, when you are borrowing money from a bank, the banks ask for you from your collaterals.
Right, right.
That's the standard process of lending. That model cannot be solving the global need for credit.
Right.
The financial inclusion challenge is the lack of banks' ability to extend credit to low-income segment.
Right.
The low-income segment have no collateral.
Right.
What they have? Behavioral data.
Right.
Intent to pay back.
Right.
They can, if you give them money, they will do something about it and they'll pay you back. To me, that's the problem AI should solve for. Create credible, predictive, golden source behavioral data which will replace the need for a collateral for a bank to lend. If you don't solve that problem, AI is still solving the classic bank problem, which is make our productivity go up, we can fire hundreds of people. I think that's not what we want AI to do. We want AI to solve the foundational credit challenge banks have.
That's very interesting. So when you talk about solving, I mean, there are two ways to see the behavioral data.
Yes.
And I've talked to companies that are kind of viewing it both ways. But there's a set of companies who are saying, oh, look, this is just about risk analysis. If we know that we're going to get paid back, our risk is zero.
Yep.
The lending to low-income people, then it means that we don't have to worry about it. We can set a fair rate and we can lend it. But there's another category of people that I've talked to that say, actually, we want that behavioral data because it's valuable to us. We can use it to make a bunch of predictions. We can use it to kind of game people's behavior. We can use it to sell it to other people. So, I mean, are you advocating both of those things or just one?
But I think that's less of a problem.
Yeah.
Today, if you ask a credit officer,
Yeah.
they want to establish two things: ability to pay, intent to pay.
Intent to pay.
Okay? Collaterals gives the ability to pay matrices.
Yeah.
Behavioral data gives the intent to pay matrices. Because today, the way we lend today, you go back to the default side, the non-performing loan, all are intent.
Yeah.
Largely intent.
Right.
So we are denying people because we don't understand the intent. And at the same time, we give people money so that they have a bad intent later on. Right. Now, the giving behavior comes also for the same segment of people who have collateral. You want them to use more of their collateral to borrow more. But banks will never lend to people who have no collateral. So my sense is that there's a two set of problem. The bad use of data, I think we can control because regulators have enough protections in place. But what regulators cannot protect is the bank's inability to lend to people who don't have collateral. That has to come from technology. That has to come from a different set of business model, which I hope this AI revolution can get us there.
It's really interesting. So to anchor this evaluation of behavior, though, you've also got to be able to establish some firm identity matrix for the the borrowers and consumers in low-income countries. Now, I know this because I've spent a fair amount of time in India, and I watched Nandan Nilekani build the Aadhaar biometric identity system. And it's fascinating because I had several conversations with Nandan about this, and he explained to me that, look, you're all hung up in the developed markets about privacy. You want to protect your privacy, but you don't understand that if you're somebody out of a village that's come into the big city looking for a job in India, you don't care about privacy as much as you care about getting your identity on the grid so that you can be paid, so that you can receive government benefits, so you don't have to deal with all these middlemen and money changers to get what's due you.
Yes.
Africa must be the same, right? How do we?
Well, if you define the last 10 years of financial sector,
Right.
I say it's DPI, digital public infrastructure,
Right.
API, how to abstract complex system
Right.
and connect to third-party value providers,
Right.
and then comes the front-end user experience, the apps, the super apps.
Right.
That's how defined the last 10 years.
Right.
The core to the fintech revolution was the digital public infrastructure, which people like Nandan designed,
Yeah.
which took the burden of identity from corporates, individuals, to the state.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do many countries trust that state to hold the identity? So the first single biggest friction to replicate the India success is the ability for a state to hold the data of identity and determining your transaction at a national infrastructure, state infrastructure, sovereign level. But what is going to happen for the next 10 years is an interesting shift.
Yeah.
With the coming of the tokenization and the blockchains and the digital asset piece, we are decentralizing IDs now. I think if there is there's a mechanism of able to take the tech stack of tokenization and the Ethereums of the world and create a decentralized ID on those network, you don't need a state to control and deliver that trusted ID. So there is a hope 10 years from in the next decade to shift identity from a single state controlled mechanism to a decentralized design.
You know, in addition to borrowing, another big problem for people from these emerging markets is cross-border remittances.
Yes.
Moving money, right?
Yes.
They don't have bank accounts. It's not sort of simple to do, and especially when it involves going across border, very challenging. Lots of people kind of get in the middle of that and extract fees. You've had some recent success just in Singapore working with that problem. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I think this is the first time globally, yesterday, somebody from Singapore can use Pay Now, go to a fintech app, what we have now authorized called Liquid Pay or one of them, send money to India with a UPI ID from here with no bank's detail to be filled
No banks in the middle of that at all.
From a user perspective, put the UPI ID, when a fraction of a second money goes to other side. Of course, the bank rails are behind, but the consumer experience, able to send the money at a full price transparency. You know exactly what you're getting the other side, with the price being displayed, with a very attractive cost of transaction. The target is to make it below 3%, including FX. So you can send the money. It took us 3 years to build it. And it requires a great amount of regulatory policy synchronization.
This is Singapore to India, right?
Yes. So, and that is now going to be the global template of how to connect cross-border payment across different banks using national infrastructure with regulatory policy synchronization in multiple jurisdictions. Project Nexus, which BIS was heading in, it's actually going to happen in Asia. 5 Asian countries have come together, are taking this model of India, Singapore, Malaysia, Singapore, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and creating a multilateral connectivity architecture called Project Nexus, which will go live hopefully next year to replicate at a multilateral level this whole experience of connecting national IDs or an identity reflected through different IDs to send money to each other without the complexity of banking systems.
That's a huge issue. I mean, particularly within this region, right?
Especially emerging, low-income migrant workers sending money back home. They can now send small ticket size money without a huge cost on the top of those transfers.
Wow. So what's next for you in terms of priorities then?
My biggest priority now is going to be upskilling. One of the single biggest challenge in our economy will be lack of jobs. I think skilling for the future is an acute crisis now. with AI coming, the number of jobs in the market is going to dramatically go down. If we don't upskill our people, I think we are heading to a massive economic disaster. It is already real in many countries. Unofficially, 2 out of 3 don't have a job or will not have a job. And especially for a young workforce, there is a very little hope for a job in the job market now. We got to get it right. So upskilling for the future will be my single biggest priority for the next 2-3 years.
People often say AI is a very democratizing technology, but it's only democratizing if you've got the skills to actually.
And I think AI can be a great tooling for our new future upskilling designs.
That's fascinating. So the next FinTech Festival is in November?
Yes, and it's the 10th anniversary. We're going to celebrate last 10 years of super success. We're going to talk about the future 10 years of possibility. I strongly encourage your audience to come and join us at Singapore 10th anniversary.
So very exciting. Thank you for joining us and sharing the things that you're working on. We really appreciate it.